We're just getting started with September, but it is time for our Allied Cooperative program. I have Josh Butler. He is dairy nutritionist for Allied Cooperative. Let's talk corn silage.
Yeah, Jill. So obviously corn silage season's right around the corner here. Kind of looking at across the territory. I'd expect some farms to be going here in the next 1, 2 to 3 weeks. So there's a couple things that we need to be looking at as we get closer to harvest. Biggest thing is looking at the moisture. Our overall goal on moisture is to be around 65 to 70% moisture, with the optimal moisture being at 68% if it's going into a bunker. Some guys will maybe look at doing it a little bit drier for bags and silos at that 65%. Another thing we want to be looking at is chop length. As we get going on these fields, we want to be checking our choppers to make sure we're hitting that optimal length for proper cow health. So our goals kind of to do is that 3/4 of an inch. Kind of a trick I always use is just carry a quarter along with you, and that's usually about accurate at that 3/4 inch. Another thing you can do is reach out to any of your Allied nutritionists, and we can come out and do some shaker box evaluations for you to just make sure we're hitting that optimal length for you guys' dairy. Then we'll also look at some things like KPS scores. That would be a kernel processing score. So that's a sample that we'll take to Dairyland Labs and run through the lab. What they do essentially is run the kernels through a sieve, or a 4.75 millimeter sieve, and our goal is to be above 70%. Main reason we want to make sure we get the kernel processed is so that way the cows are actually going to get all the starch value out of that corn silage. That's just, we want to maximize that. That will help you save things on, like ground corn, things like that. We always want to push more forage if we can. Well, another thing we're going to be looking at too is looking at inoculant. As you get out in the countryside this year, I know some parts of the territory are facing things like rust or blight. Obviously those are things that are affecting plant health, which definitely can cause toxins, things like that. So we want to make sure that we're treating our silage with some inoculant, preferably a Buchnerei. And I know we carry the Novoanalysis brand or Chris Hansen brands. So that would be like Silosolve FC. That's going to have your Buchnerei. That's going to prevent things like yeast from growing, toxins, things like that.
And are there people available that can come out and give some of that advice when it comes to the inoculant and the levels that need to go on to the corn silage?
Yeah, we have any one of our nutritionists are familiar with those products. You can certainly reach out to them. And when it comes to those products, if say maybe somebody doesn't know the exact answer, we do have our Novoanalysis or Chris Hansen reps to reach out to that can help with it as well. And also just making sure, we got to make sure that our applicators are also working on our choppers too. I know that's something that sometimes can be an issue, and that's some things that we can help troubleshoot.
And before we get started, there's opportunity for a burn down day. When is that,
Yes.
and where's it at?
So our burn down day for Allied, it's going to be an Allied plot tour / burn down day. It's going to be at Bertmar Farms in Osseo. That's going to be on Friday, September 12th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Lunch will be provided, and Dairyland Labs will be there to check your moisture on your corn silage. And then there's also going to be some other experts there on inoculants from Novoanalysis, and then also there will be some agronomists and nutritionists on site to discuss any nutrition advice or any other agronomy advice, things like that. So hope to see you all there.
And what should a farmer bring? I mean, do we bring one stock? Do we need to bring a number of stocks?
I always try to ask people to go bring 3 stocks for whatever field you want to do. Obviously, make sure we got the cob and everything too. And I always try to pretty much imitate where we're going to be chopping at. So, if you're going to chop, say an inch off the ground or a couple inches off the ground, make sure you're cutting where you're kind of shooting for, trying to imitate as close as possible. I also try to get into the field a little ways, like try to stay out of the hedgerows, just because some of them, cobs or stalks can be a little bit deceiving. You got to try to get into the middle of the field to make sure you're getting the stalk that is probably going to be more representative of the field.
And once again, when and where's that burn down day?
So that is going to be Friday, September 12th at Burtmar Farms in Osseo. And if you have any other questions about that, feel free to reach out to your allied nutritionist or allied agronomist, and they can get you the invite and sign up, get you RSVP.
And that's our Allied Cooperative program for this Wednesday morning with Josh Butler. He's Dairy Nutritionist for Allied. And I'm Jill Welke.